Hey guys, Adrian here for the Digital Dojos, and today we are doing part 2 of the ScreenFlow tutorial series. And today we're going to be talking about add screen recording actions and adding callout actions. Now, I do want to apologize again, I'm on the MacBook, so I'm only using a built-in mic as of now. Again, when I get back home after vacation, quality will go up. Anyways, regardless, I'm still doing the tutorial, and like I said, we talked a little bit about callout actions in part 1. If you're watching this later on, or if you just stumbled upon this video, you may want to watch part 1. We talked about zooming with ScreenFlow, how to do some panning effects. Now, today we're going to talk about specifically these two buttons right here, screen recording properties and callout actions. Now, this helps a little bit in zooming as well, but it's a little bit different. So screen recording properties are effects. So you can do show your mouse pointer, you can talk about your keyboard. Basically deals with your mouse and keyboard. So first thing you want to do is you want to click on the video timeline itself. This is just a test video shot, a couple seconds to show off the effect. So what you can do here is you can add a screen recording action, or you can apply it to the whole timeline. So for example, if I want the cursor, which is down there, to be that big during the whole video, I can have it being that big during the whole video if I just adjust this little slider right here. Again, you can make it small, make it big. Again, this is all post-recording. Your cursor doesn't have to be big during the recording, obviously. It does this all post in the editing. And you know, this is helpful for tutorials if you're trying to kind of spot something or show something, like in if you're showing like a video editor like Final Cut Pro or After Effects, and you want to show specific things. Now, another thing you can do is also click effects. So you can attach radar or invert effect. Radar is the one where you'll see it. Well, I'll show you right here. I think I do it in the beginning of the video. So let's see if you see the effect here. Testing, and there you see that radar effect. The invert effect is it just inverts the color of your mouse. So for this example, it would just do black to white. Now, you can add that specifically to the whole timeline, and or you can add it to a specific part of the video. Now, if you want to add it to a specific part, you want to find the part you want to add it to in your video. And so first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change everything back to default. So I'm going to make this, what is it, 100 by default, 100%, and I'm going to change this to none. And what I'm going to do, let's say I want it only in the part when I'm clicking, right around here. This part actually is when I'm clicking. So what I'm going to do is say add screen recording action, and you're going to see this yellow thing pop up right here, and you can it's going to overlay your video timeline, and you can adjust it to see how long you want that effect to, you know, last. So for this example, I only want it to last when I'm clicking. I'm going to make my pointer be huge again, and I'm going to do the radar effect. Not only that, I'm also going to change it to you can change it to a square or a circle or your own image, but I'm actually just going to leave it at default. And I have that opacity, and you can also add a sound on click option, so you get this little sound effect, but I'm not going to do that. So you're going to see here in the beginning of the video, and gradually I'll get bigger with the effect as you, again, span that yellow overlay. Now you can do that, again, specifically for certain parts by adding a screen recording action, or to the whole timeline if you don't add an action at all. You can also show keys pressed, so I'm going to say show keys pressed, again, this is for the whole timeline. And show modifier keys. I believe modifier keys are stuff like Command, Alt, Option, Control, Function. So I'm going to go ahead and show that and see what that looks like. I think I start typing here in a second. So you can see there I start typing, and I believe every time you hit enter it goes away. So in that point I typed Digital Dojos and I was hitting enter, or you know, you can change that so you can show the keys pressed. Very useful if you're doing stuff like what do you call it? If you're showing specific websites, and or you're showing like programming, if you're doing some programming and you want to show certain commands you need to type in, anything that has to deal with text, you can use that. And again, you can do that for certain parts or the whole video, because you may not want it to be the whole video if you're typing other stuff in as well. Alright, so that's screen recording properties. Let's move on to specifically callout actions. Now, callout actions is a little bit different. What you can do with callouts is you can do other effects like highlighting, movable cursors, foreground windows, opacity, outlines, borders, etc. Now, this you can't apply it to the whole timeline. You have to add it to specific parts, like I said. And you can stretch this whole thing to the whole timeline if you want, but again, if you only want it for specific parts, up to you. So for this example, I want it to be on the mouse cursor, which highlights only specifically that mouse cursor. Again, this is another way you can do it if you wanted to show specific things, if you want to highlight something. Now let's say you want to do it to a foreground window, like in this case when I open up Finder. So I'm going to move my call out. Whoops, not going to do that now. What I'm going to do is going to shift my call out down here, and I'm going to say foreground window. So in this case, Finder specifically shows up, and I can zoom in on that. I can do whatever I want to do. Very useful if you have multiple windows open up and you only want to highlight the one that's open specifically to talk about that, and everything else kind of goes away. You can change the opacity here, so you can make the background very visible or not visible at all. So if you kind of want it just to fade out and show that specific window, you can have it do that, so it'll look a little bit like this. Oh, in this case, it would, maybe I should shift that down just a little bit. There you go. So in this case, it would look like something like this. It would just kind of go from your desktop to complete darkness. You probably don't want to do that. I mean, you can if you want to add a little bit of effect. You probably want to leave some opacity in there. And so, yeah. And you can also do blur background, so you can see the background gets blurry. So if you don't want them reading something, or you want them to be entirely focused on that window, you can blur the background. You can also add a border or an outline, so I'm going to say a 10 pixel outline, and on my foreground window I get that 10 pixel outline. Vice versa, I can do it for a mouse cursor. I can add that 10 pixel outline and change it to a different color here. I can change it to red if I wanted to, and just exit that. Now I have a red outline instead of a blue outline. I can also do zoom up, so you can see here I can zoom up. Let's say I'm showing applications in my dock. I can zoom up specifically on that, or I can zoom up on stuff I'm clicking. Very useful. And again, you can adjust the border to how big you want that to be. You can also feather and round off the square or the border to make it look a little bit neater, a little bit more clean and pressed. Now build is basically how many seconds you want the transition into the callout. So this occurs. You can see here the little description gives. Basically, it's kind of fade in duration of the callout. You can specifically add times to it. So if you want your callouts like highlighting cursors, highlighting the foreground windows, if you want that effect to happen from one point of the video until another point, you can add the timeline duration, so the in and out durations. Alright, so this is just covering callout actions and screen recording properties. Very, very useful in creating your tutorials. You can add some cool effects with ScreenFlow, guys. Later on, I think next video, we're going to talk a little bit about text and maybe some audio, and then we're going to go into more advanced topics from there. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Take a second to like the video. It takes a couple minutes to edit these videos and put them together, so it only takes a second to like the video. Please help out, support. Also, comment. I'd love to hear your feedback, what you guys want to see in the series. Also, subscribe if you're not subscribed. With that, guys, check out digitaldojos.com. I'm Adrian. I'll see you guys in the next video.